Awesome. We've had a dev queue update about dodging. So essentially, they dodging occurs too frequently. However, they don't want to punish people who are using dodges infrequently. So there's going to be 3 tiers of dodging. Your first, it goes up 1 tier every time you dodge.
Yeah.
The first time you dodge in ranked or in normal slash, I guess in any matchmaking mode that isn't ARAM, it'll be 6-minute lockout, minus 3 LP for ranked only. Your second one will be 30-minute lockout, minus 10 LP for ranked only, and the third tier, which is a new tier, will be 12 hours lockout minus 10 LP. And this only affects, Riot mentions, 1.6% of high elo players, which is where most of the dodging happens. So that shouldn't impact a lot of people. And then there's some ARAM changes as well. Tier 1 is 15 minutes, tier 2 is 30 minutes, tier 3 is 12 hours. And then obviously no like LP penalty or anything like that. And then they mentioned that if you do get to one of these tiers, you will drop a tier every 12 hours.
Yeah.
So even if you're at 3 hours, by the time you come back, you'll be at tier 2. And then 12 hours after that, you'll be tier 1. So
yeah,
and I think
I like it a lot.
A really good way to like put that in perspective is that like you get 2 dodges a day where you'll end up losing 10 LP total and have to sit out for
13, but
13 LP, yeah.
13 LP. Okay, yeah. So I mean, like,
which is still less than a loss, by the way.
Yeah, right. But like, okay, you can dodge twice a day if you really want to as part of your strategy, and I think that it's viable to dodge in a lot of cases when you don't like the matchups or your teammates are already fighting, or they're toxic from last game. Like, plenty of reasons. You get 2 a day with very minimum penalties. So if it's if it hits a third, which again very rare at that point, maybe just call it a day or switch accounts.
Yeah.
I
awesome.
do want to. Can we have a larger discussion about like dodging really quick? Because I meant to have this a couple weeks ago as a bi-weekly, but we never got around to it. So we kind of laid out like what Riot's doing, but why is Riot doing this? So as we mentioned, at high elo, fucking matchmaking is a nightmare sometimes. They have a nice little graph here saying 33% of champion selects end in a dodge, which isn't even like really like so that's intentional dodges. Then there's ready check failures, which is 24%, and then there's lock-in failures, which is a couple percent. It's like it pretty well says out of every matchmake game that's like created, 42% of games go through. Which that is a low number. This is for D1. Obviously, the numbers go down as you go down ELO because people typically care a little bit less about like min-maxing their ranked experience, I guess. That being said, holy fuck, dude, this is a problem. And it's weird. I don't think Riot's solution of making dodging harder is a good one. I think currently what they're doing is fine, by the way. I think if you're dodging 3 times, you probably should get punished a little more. That being said, if they extend it into tier 1 and tier 2 dodges, that being more rough, I think they're taking the wrong approach. It very much feels like at that point, they are solving the current issue rather than like cutting it, like solving the root of the issue, right? The root of the issue is that people have way too much fucking power in champion select, right? Being able to look up people, see what their win rates are, see what they made. If you don't like something, you'll ban out someone's character. You'll intentionally troll someone. If someone was in one of your previous games and they don't like you for whatever reason, they'll troll you. Like, all these things are giving so much power to players to influence their power they have over other players in champion select, right? Like, the fact is, if you're in 4 queues in a row and they keep getting broken and you're a one trick, someone's going to ban your champion by Q4. Then you have to dodge, right? All these things need to get fixed in some sort of way. And I don't think the issue of making dodging more punishing is the right way of going about it, I guess.
No, I don't think so either. A lot of that sounds like they should just hide summoner names, but
that's where I was gonna go with that, Nick. That I think hiding summoner names would be fine, and then it's like, if you want to base it off team comps, go ahead.
Yeah,
but they have way too much power, and I think like another way to approach this, like conceptually, is that a lot of people who are very good at the game end up with being put in a situation where they think my highest chance to succeed is to just not play League of Legends right now.
Well,
like,
I think there's also a flaw with the sample they selected.
Yeah.
D1 plus players are also the people who are playing 30 games a day.
Yeah, for sure.
So even though they're dodging, 3 times a day, it's because they're experiencing more champion selects. Like,
oh, for sure.
I think that's a little like flawed in that way where like, yeah, of course someone who's playing like who has time for a game a day isn't going to dodge. They don't have the time to go through another queue.
I also think we should like be realistic here, because I do think we have a lot of listeners who, let's just say, aren't Diamond 1. And I think we have a lot of discourse on our Discord about whether dodging is important at like lower elos. I think dodging at lower elos almost doesn't matter any percentage of the time, unless someone is intentionally trolling you in Champion Select. If someone's intentionally trolling you, then dodging is a great tool. That being said, we see like maybe silver, gold, whatever players going, well, our comp's not as good as theirs, I should dodge, or like stuff like that, where that, I hate to say it, guys, that's not why you're at whatever ELO, right? I do think like the higher ELO you get, the more that comps matter, but still, even at that point, I don't know if like dodging until you're like the highest of the high is like a good practice, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's a scummy practice regardless. Fucking just only dodging until you get a winning comp seems like just not how a game should be played. like imagine playing any 1v1 game, but you only play games versus good matchups.
Well, yeah. Imagine playing a fighting game, but you never play. You like if you get counterpicked, you just don't play it.
Yeah, like I don't know. There's problems with that, right? And like maybe that is a problem on Riot's part, like at a systematic level. Like maybe Riot has to make stuff like this like more counterable, right? Like if they have a full we have a full magic damage team, maybe there should be an item for us to like, what was the old item that increased magic damage to teams? It still does it, but Abyssal Mask? Abyssal Mask, right? It's like an item like that like helps make your full AP team less shit, right? Like maybe that's a systematic problem of Riot needing stuff to make games not auto lost in Champion Select at a high level of play. I'm saying this in air quotes because I don't want lower level players to say that their games are auto lost in Champion Select by any means. But I just think that it's something that is abused by high elo players, does need a change, but I think it needs a change at a way more root level than just saying, hey, dodging's harder, whatever's harder, yada, yada, yada. I think those are all very band-aid solutions in typical Riot fashion to solving issues like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's like kind of the basis of it. Do you guys have anything else to say on dodging? I think dodging's been something that people have talked about a lot. I just wanted to kind of like give a broader viewpoint of it and why it is problematic, especially at a higher level of play.
I think it's just one of the many perspectives that falls down from the high elo players are the ones in most cases with a platform. Right, they're the LCS pros. They're the people doing, iron to challenger, unranked to challenger. Like those are the streams and the people with audiences. And so that perspective of like dodging is something you need to do sometimes, right? Like that is true for a lot of those players, but just like a lot of the concepts that they perpetuate, they don't really apply to the whole game. And there's also like the everyone is shit who isn't the top 3%. Sorry, no, I'm in the top 2% now. So actually I'm in the top 0.5%. So anyone who's not in challenger sucks. Like all of those attitudes just eventually like trickle down, which is where you get a lot of this stuff. And I think that's the big case here is that, hey, I saw a challenger dodge, and so I want to be challenger, so I should dodge too.
It is funny.
Probably not.
It is funny playing on like you say you're like trying to get a new account up so you can like learn a new character at a high elo, and you're playing through gold, and someone calls someone like a piss low player. You're like, I don't know, man. Like you're gold. You're calling silver players piss low.
You're 300 games in gold with a 50% win rate. Like
it's just I don't know. Yeah, I definitely do think like the trickle down toxicity from like
absolutely
higher like level players is a not good thing. That's why, for example, on this dodging issue, I did want to like kind of phrase it as like, I don't necessarily think this is a lower elo like problem. I don't obviously play in my main account in lower elo by any means, but I do think this is an issue that stems from higher elo that ideologically affects lower elo rather than like actually affecting it. From my perspective.
Yeah, there's also just like less players there, period. So having to wait an extra 3 minutes for that 10th player in your bracket to actually be back available is a pain in the ass. Or, you know, again, I'm going to dodge every other game because of the 15 players online right now who could be in my game, 2 of them I refuse to play with. Like, that doesn't happen when there's a pool of 10,000 people playing to pull from.
Yeah, my average queue time at D1 right now is 5 minutes, by the way. Whereas, like, I would say for typically, like, gold or, like, middle of player base, like, high silver, low gold, it's probably sub 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds-ish for, like, a queue. Which I think definitely, like, changes how dodging affects, like, the overall matchmaking system and stuff. So, that's awesome. Awesome. Good, really good conversation about that.
Yeah. Awesome.